Praise the Lord. Good to be back in town. We just got back this morning. I'm here to tell you the truth. 3 other people may tell you something else. You can't believe what they're
something else that ain't the truth. Just remember, there's only one Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember the stand.
I want to give a report. I've asked Butch to kind of have a message this morning, but I just want to we want to give a quick report. Are you prepared, Butch?
Yes.
Okay. But we were supposed to get in last night, but an opportunity came up to get debunked so we could get $500 apiece for the things. So we jumped at it. And so, praise hallelujah for that. And you may want to hit these other ones. Those 2 can't. I'll let you share. Yeah, I know. Anyway, but we had a great time in Tobago. We really did. Actually, Dwayne and Andy got a lot done. Andy had to learn to plaster with cement, and what did we do with cement? What was we doing? We were primer. We were making primer out of cement. I mean, it's like do it like the caveman, there. And so I'd never heard of using cement as a primer. But Sharon and I did a couple of rooms doing that, which was the extent of my contribution. But we had a good time. The people, I tell you one thing I've noticed in Tobago since we've first been going there about 14 years now, is that their worship has really come a long, long way, and it's due mostly to this church. First of all, sending Richard Holloway down there and doing what he did, and then having them all come here. And when they'd go back, they'd say, what we're doing isn't right. We got to do some, and they've really come a long way in it.
Praise God.
And yeah, I mean, actually, before it was really sad, a lot of it, but they did the best they knew how. And now, once they learned something, they've caught on, and they really enjoyed. It was really a pleasure to be in their worship services. We had, you want to come on up, honey? You can stand. Okay, y'all come on. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just. What should I be sharing?
Give us the truth. We thought we were coming home without a story this time.
Yeah. But anyway, all right, yeah, I'll go ahead and tell because they said they were, I can't trust them not to tell on me. But, yeah, I did. But we're on our way back this morning. We went through the getting, what do you call it? Screen, TSA and everything. We got all the way through, and we were all the way out in the hall where people, next to a shop. Yeah, and we were just sitting there, and we were, except for the 3 of us were, because we were watching him get patted down all over the place, and
All sorts of stuff.
yeah. I mean, it was more than usual than what they were doing to him, and I was going, "Are you kidding me?" And we were just looking, and all of a sudden, and I just made the statement. I said, and he had a Georgia Southern T-shirt on. And I said, yeah, those Georgia Southern terrorists are really terrible. Just talking to them, and suddenly it was like,
G-men came out of the woodwork.
yeah. And I mean, and I looked at them, I said, you know, they're saying, you can't use that word around here, sir, you know, and I said, what terrorist would say the word terrorist? If they say bomb or something like that, I can understand, but anyway, so it was an ordeal.
Four TSA agents and 3 police officers later.
Yeah.
Dane County Sheriff.
Yeah. And,
It was him.
no, it was all because of him. It was all,
We'll take you to the river because of that bitter root.
no, but anyway, I was kind of calm through it all. Then the deputy just came up and just told me, look, you just can't do this. And he says, we just have a note. And I said, but I wasn't in there. And he said, no, it's in the higher airport. So I said, okay. And I said, all I did was just say something to my wife. But anyway, it was just one of those.
30 minutes later.
Yeah. It's a good thing we were early.
Don't
And,
say the T word in the airport.
T or B.
Don't say the T word and don't say the B word.
yeah.
Don't put the B word. It's
Bomb.
bomb. Don't say terrorist and don't say bomb.
Anyway, I mean, that's I guess one of my stories. And you want to talk? I would. Y'all got things to say, so go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, golly, that's loud. Well, you tell me to put it in my mouth all the time. Anyway, the only thing I could figure was that I've got a metal rod and some screws in my right leg, and they've never gone off before. Well, there must be something up that they feel like they've got a terrorist threat because, you know, there's always TSA people at the airport, but nothing like there was this morning. And they were that way in Jacksonville too. But, you know, they must have had the metal detector turned up on high or something because there wasn't any metal on it. All right? And it kept beeping, and so they go over there. But as far as what we did down there, Dwayne and I spent from Thursday a week ago through this past Wednesday at Camp Sacrifice with Pastor Reed. From the first day we got there through this past Wednesday, and we did a lot of work. Dwayne actually, Lee got it a little bit incorrect. Dwayne learned how to plaster. Okay, I learned that I don't know how to plaster. Okay, and I'm not any better at it than I was when I started. Other than that, I know now that I can't do it. I just assigned myself the duty of mixing it up. They don't have a cement mixer, so what you do is you go get 2 wheelbarrow loads of dirt and dump it on the floor, and an 80-pound bag of concrete and dump it on the floor, and then a 5-gallon bucket of water and a shovel and start mixing it. And I also learned that I'm not in very good condition. And there was about 10 pounds less of me than there was when I left. But it's a lot of work, a lot of physical work, but it's just absolutely a joy. I mean, just absolutely a joy. Read a couple things. One, aside from just doing that, just talking with him the whole time. But 2 or 3 nights we sat up till 1 o'clock in the morning just talking. He and Marisha, and they're just sweet people. And he's actually, some of you guys have been down there and worked on that place. It's gotten really big. They don't use wood as framing, they just use terracotta block, and then they plaster over that. But and it's gotten so big now, he's really got a lot of work to do. But he told us the other night that he's actually, building that place has actually cost him some friends. Because people that he thought were his friends have kind of bickered and murmured behind his back, saying things like, where's he getting the money to do that? Who's he think he is? What's he trying to prove? All that kind of stuff. Okay, so he really needed an encouragement. And if we didn't do anything else, we got one room plastered, which was a lot of work, and he was really proud of that. But the thing that's most humbling to me is that God used us just to encourage him. And that's a very humbling thing, you know. That's a high honor and a privilege. And anyway, that can't really think of anything else. Thursday or Friday we didn't do anything. Oh yeah, hallelujah. Wife said get some of these things. I recommend them to anybody. If I get motion sick brushing my teeth, okay? So, you know, and but I've been wearing these things for 10 days now, and they help you keep from getting motion sick, and they do a pretty good job. And so I can't think of anything else other than that, you know, if any of y'all ever one time want to try going on the mission field, it's a pretty easy mission trip as far as, you know, because it's English speaking and all of that. But he's probably got, with 2 men helping him, he could probably work every week for about 1.5 years before he got it finished. And he's doing most of it by himself. And so if anybody wants to go, he'd love to have you. His wife will see to it that you are well fed, and it's just it'll be a lot of work, but it'll be joy. It just, you know, it'll be a lot of fun. So anyway,
I want to tell one story. As a kind of a reward, I decided to take these 2 young men out to dinner the other night. And
They had to pay for it themselves.
yeah, unfortunately, due to the lack of my funds, when we got there, I did the waffling routine. Couldn't. Where is that wallet?
We were just around, we didn't end up buying his.
Yeah. But the thought that counts. Anyway, but while we were sitting there, we were just 3 of us, not sitting there, we were 3 of us in line and just going through to get our food and everything. And this one guy comes up and he just, and just 3 Americans there, and this black fella comes up and he just walks up to Andy and says, "Do you know Jesus?" And Andy, well, yes, I do. He says, but he says, "Here's a guy who knows him better." He points me out. Well, that's my story. You can tell it to me. Anyway, but this guy, you know, I was just thinking to myself, you know, out of the 3 of us, that he picked out Andy, and
Felt like you needed to make sure.
yeah, because Andy looked lost, I guess, compared to the other 2 of us. But anyway, the guy turned out to be an evangelist, and it was a good. We had him sit down and eat with us for a while. Didn't we? Okay.
Told all the story, huh?
I got joyride. You and Andy went joyride.
I wonder if they come out with braces like that for that other problem you have.
I got a lot of problems.
Maybe put it around your neck at night.
Lots of
I won't tell them about that. You can tell them later. But I will say that part. I'm convinced after this trip, Carol, that when the Catholic Church canonizes a saint, you're going to be the next one for having to sleep in the same bed with this guy. With the cutting.
He's now had that same phrase.
If you don't go to sleep before him, you won't go to sleep for a while because of the sawing of logs that he does. It's like he works in the rainforest all night long. And sometimes when you get to sleep before him, you wake up because the trees are falling. Timber! You know, it was an experience. So,
Clean conscience.
St. Amoson but anyway, it was a good trip. It's humbling to go down there. This is about my 4th time, I think, and every time we go down there, and we come back with a sense of contributing and helping them out. And it's amazing what just a $20 bill does for their economy and the project and stuff that they're doing, because $20 is $120 of their dollars, and it'll buy a bag of cement, and the bag of cement will plaster a 4x4 portion of his wall or something. And it's just amazing. You go there, you humble yourself. We didn't know what we were going to do. We just knew we were going to help him out. The first day it just poured down rain, and the power went out the night before, so we're just wondering, well, what are we going to do? And the roof in the room we were staying at, because the rains were blowing so hard, it started dripping water while we were eating supper. So he knew the next morning he was going to get up there and try and patch the roof, and it involved plastering the exterior wall. So we mixed up a little bag of plaster, and that bag of plaster turned out into about 10 bags of cement and 20 wheelbarrow loads of sand, and he taught us how to plaster a wall. And I guess after 5 days, it was about a 12 by 14 room with about 14-foot high ceiling, and it was plastered all the way to the top. And he was really pleased with it. His wife was pleased with it. And he just kept telling us, I've been reinvigorated. You guys have been such a blessing. You have reinvigorated me, because it's been a 10-year project for him since he broke ground down there, and it's just dragging and dragging, and I can relate to his feeling of frustration because it's taken so long, and being reinvigorated. And so it's just awesome and humbling, and to be a part of it. And then the icing on the cake was last night for me when we're in the airport and I hear that the flights are possibly overbooked. And I get closer and closer to the counter, and are the flights overbooked? Are you going to need volunteers? And we might. When we open up the counter, you hang around. And so I hung around. I was a pest, because when it comes to giving out money, I'm first in line to collect it, as some of you know. But as it turned out, they needed like 6 volunteers, and so all 4 of us got our name on the list. But that's icing on the cake. You make sacrifices and you go do a work for the Lord. And then the Lord turns around and blesses you with an opportunity maybe to even go back 2 more times, because $500 is a couple of airline tickets down there. Or go somewhere else and take a vacation and reinvigorate yourself. But God's a good God.
And another thing about a blessing is that these two, on every plane, they got the bulkhead seats. I'm sitting there begging to be upgraded to co-pilot, and but they just show up, and there they are in the thing. I'm going, wait a minute. I want y'all to look at the difference in these legs here.
My legs are really long.
And he's sitting there. He can lay down between the seat and the wall. And I'm thinking, well, I guess we know who the Lord loves more, don't we?
That's because he stayed with me. We had 3 seats and we got to sit together. I just want to say a couple things. For most of you that have been to Tobago, almost everybody was asked about when we were there. Someone would ask about Rusty, or Big Jeremy, or Cindy, how she was doing, or Marcia. I mean, all of you have been asked about. But the thing that really impressed me about this trip, and we're not a super large body, but the seeds you've sown. I mean, if you look back over the years, we've sown money into Camp Sacrifice, we've sown time into Camp Sacrifice, and it's still moving forward.